I wish I could start the first video off on a better note, but I regret to inform you, there's going to be a lot of rough opinions I really don't feel like holding back. 14-minute standing ovation, let's talk about it. Mamoru Hosoda's The Dragon and the Freckled Princess, otherwise known as Belle, premiered July 15th earlier this year at the Cannes Film Festival. The debut was a roaring success amongst all the movies that premiered alongside it, enough so to award it a 14-minute standing ovation. Just to express how insane a 14-minute standing ovation is, the record for the longest standing ovation in the Cannes Film Festival history is 22 minutes, the length of an average episode of most anime for Pan's Labyrinth. A mere 8-minute difference separates this from the number one spot. And was it deserved? I don't think so, no. I'm going to be reviewing the movie in the exact way I do for each episode coming forward. We're going to go over the plot first, then the character design, and finally the animation. All's on a scale of S tier to F tier, so before we even go forward, massive spoiler alert warning. This movie won't even be released in North America until January 14th, 2022, so unless you can understand Japanese or have a way of seeing it early, leave now or forever hold your peace. I'm going to come right out and rate the plot before explaining it because I think it needs to be said. D tier. And you might be thinking, Flex, how does a movie that gets a 14-minute standing ovation receive a D tier? And I'd say it's because it's terrible. Honestly, I only refrained from an F or below because of the fact that it's clearly an homage to two previous works that I love, Beauty and the Beast and Ready Player One. Both of those are badass in their own right, but mix them together and you end up with the mush of a story that is Belle. When I go over the plot, it's going to be a very loose explanation, just because I don't want to get too in-depth, but we'll start here. Belle follows a 17-year-old Suzu Naito as she traverses high school following the death of her mother. Now, plot point issue number one comes here, and I know it's early, I'm just going to briefly touch upon it. It mentions just slightly that she liked to sing with her mother, nothing extravagant, nothing special, but this is major later on. So, Suzu is in high school, and a virtual reality world is released. None other than Uber. No, seriously, it's the U, but it's the exact same logo. All jokes aside, essentially Facebook's metaverse, but much more detailed and in-depth. Your avatar is designed exactly as you are on the inside, with minor notes of your actual physical appearance, and they boast in this world you can truly be yourself and change the world, which touches on two major points that I loathe about this movie. Number one is that some of the characters you'll see in this movie are literally blobs of nothing. Some are an alligator. I understand being open and free, but why are some people humanoid and very personable, and some are just lamps? And secondly, they really hammer the point multiple times throughout that you'll be able to change the world. The world of You is literally a bunch of floating cities with people just flying around mindlessly, like traffic. There's essentially no world building in the universe of the You. It's quite literally a traffic simulator with a few POIs that you can see. And apparently, it's immersive enough to full dive you in the VR world, but the characters are openly seen engaging in the real world while simultaneously just doing things around the house, which is entirely antithetical to the point of full dive VR in the first place. Continuing on, Suzu finds that by entering this VR world, she can do what she can't bring herself to do in real life: sing. And so she does what anyone would do and blurts out a song no less than 1 minute of being in VR. Now, I play a lot of VR. I don't know if you've ever been in an open space in VR, but you will get swatted down immediately trying that shit. A lot happens with her being awkward in real life and growing exceedingly popular in the U, causing the split personality conflict of loving yourself and hating yourself, but that's all thrown on its axis when she holds this giant concert in VR and a dragon? No, the dragon crashes the party. Chased by virtual reality police, which in itself is a fucking disaster idea. Police in virtual reality, what are they gonna do? Like unplug your computer? The dragon runs away, and if you couldn't guess it already, piques Belle's interest as to the mystery of the Black Dragon. The mystery continues as she attempts to find out more, only to eventually end up finding where he lives by literally getting escorted by sprites. And where does the mysterious Black Dragon live? A rustic castle. After exploring and running into him, she does the typical emo boy you don't understand me raw XD shtick, and she leaves, only to return once again and sing. He loves it, of course. They have a beautiful ballroom lit dance, just like Beauty and the Beast, which gets broken up by the virtual cops looking for him yet again. The entire reason they're chasing him, by the way, is because he looks menacing. That's it. No crimes were committed. And the entire reason is to expose his real identity so that, I don't know, they could shame him or something? It's so loose and ridiculous that I hate even saying it. Cutting through a lot of the fat of the movie and getting towards the continuation of the plot, you'll find that the dragon's actually two young kids being abused by their father, which I know is a bit of a turn, but it's found out essentially through a live stream that Belle was watching that they ended because they didn't trust anyone would help them. Which, again, is antithetical because why was it live in the first place just to end it once somebody finds it? It doesn't make any sense. This really kills the entire love and care vibe and really gets the rescue vibes going for Suzu, who does what she does best: sing, randomly, in VR. This time, though, she unmasks herself to reveal that she's not an international superstar, but a young, regular schmegular girl singing. The entire thing is so the dragon will trust her enough to restart his live stream and give them info so she can find them in real life. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't necessarily think doing a song and dance is enough for me to tell you where I'm at because my dad's beating me. It doesn't really make sense. I think it's a really moot point. It really just feels so out of place. It's supposed to be the touching scene of the movie that really just falls flat in my own personal opinion. This all ensues, and they gather enough information to chase down the household. Once she arrives, she meets them, coincidentally, in the middle of the street outside. Their dad approaches them with clear intent to abuse, and she stands in the middle, valiant and brave, and gets slightly injured. The dad has what I can only assume to be a slight aneurysm and leaves, and the meetup's essentially, thank you for caring, we got it from here, and that's it. Now, have I skipped small nuanced moments here and there of negligible story points in my own personal opinion? Again, yes. There was a small thing with her ignoring her dad for literally no reason, a small love interest of someone she used to know, and gossip in school with her best friend / manager. But all that's so excruciatingly hard to enjoy when you're faced with the truth, none of it really matters. And barely any of it makes sense. The main plot points that ruin the plot specifically for me are the following. 1, it seemed like there were key moments that they wrote in advance and filled in blanks with random fodder to get by. There are moments when you're thinking, well, at least this part is good, and I noticed quickly that they were not only animated better, but clearly given more scripting and time. 2, it moves way too quickly, and in the short time introduces too many concepts that need further elaboration. The VR, a quick pass-through. Her fame, totally devoid of anything with profit, even though there are physically other characters that are sponsored in the VR. Her disdain for her father, unexplained and honestly rude as fuck. The thing that absolutely chaps my ass the most is the terrible ending. It ends so lackadaisy that it feels as if the entire movie was aimed towards the ride of her learning to sacrifice like her mother did when she was younger, and not the destination of saving the two abused boys, which would be fine if the ride made sense. It's like a ride made up of rickety wooden loops that ends in a waist-deep pool of water that has nothing to do with the theme. You know what? In hindsight, I redact my initial rating. I'm going to go with a solid F tier for plot. Diving into character design, I'd like to talk about it before I talk ratings or anything like it. I have a lot of unique opinions relating to Belle, and I'd like to start with the first front and center face, Suzu, or Belle herself. Because of the VR aspect of the movie, it's stated that you essentially have two versions of yourself. The real you projected into the VR, and the real you IRL. This seems to only apply to Suzu, however, as most of the other characters are token copy-paste characters you'd expect in a movie like this. The assertive best friend, the airy love interest, the gossiping bully types. All the tropes are there. And as far as it's concerned, the few that are shown in the VR world present the exact same way. But Suzu presents as a timid, shy, and determined girl IRL, but a blossoming, open personality in the U. She belts singing atop a speaker whale in the U, but hides behind speakers at a singing course with her late mother's friends. It's very apparent that most of the brain juice was spent on making Suzu herself an interesting, thought-provoking character, with many idiosyncrasies that you'd like to know more about her. But it really ends there. The side character, the dragon, the father, each are not only limited on voice lines and interaction, but are even more cookie-cutter than the rest. Overall, creativity is distributed expectedly, and therefore I'm going to give it a C. Although it wasn't unwatchable, it was definitely begging for more substance. Lastly, we talk animation. I have to say that on an animation front, I was extremely impressed with some fronts and left sleepy in others. The animation changes from the real world to the U, wherein the real world is very detailed, soft, akin to like most Ghibli films, and the U is extremely pop animated and flashy. Neon colors run everywhere, and even traditional items are much more dazzling, which is really impressive until you realize that most of the assets are copy and pasted in the U. And that feels lazy as a watcher. You're hoping desperately to take that art style into a restaurant, a mall, a shopping district. But it's always as if they're on the outskirts of a town and never exploring. Whereas the real world is very nicely detailed, but boorish and leaving a want for the excitement of the U's colors. I think a bit of the U pops in the real world, and the world detailing the U would have been an acceptable trade-off, one that would shift my judgment a bit more favorably. Character and prop animation are all smooth, and the world of the U really accentuates that. That said, I think the animation itself deserves no more than a B. Lazy decisions were really the only thing stopping it from a much larger, closer to an S rating. And that wraps up our weekly review. Let me know in the comments the next anime show or movie you'd like me to go over. I'll make sure to keep these coming. I have so many initial episodes planned ahead of time, but a newer, funner recommendation would easily trump those. I really love anime, and honestly started this channel to meet more people to talk to it about, because I almost have no friends with such a vested interest. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and as always, I'll catch you next time. Take care.